Hey everyone, welcome back to Space Law FAQs. I'm Jack Shelton. I'm an attorney at Aegis Space Law. And today's question is one we get quite a bit in our practice. And the question is whether CUI and export-controlled information are the same thing. So CUI is Controlled Unclassified Information. Some people pronounce that acronym CUI. Export-controlled information, meanwhile, is information that's controlled by the International Traffic in Arms Regulations, which is the ITAR, or the Export Administration Regulations, which is the EAR. So the short answer, are CUI and export-controlled information the same thing? No, they're not at all the same thing. Sometimes there is a teeny tiny little bit of overlap. So a particular document might be both export-controlled and CUI, but that doesn't mean that these two broad categories are the same. So up on my screen here, I have the three elements that make up when something is CUI. So first, CUI involves information which isn't classified. So it's not top secret, secret, some other US government classification like that. Next, it's information that belongs to the United States government. In the definition, it's a little bit longer. It says information that is created by or possessed by the United States government or on behalf of the United States government, but essentially it's information that belongs to them and it doesn't belong to you. Or maybe you've created it for them, that sort of a thing. And then finally, there's some other law, regulation, or government-wide policy outside of the CUI regulations, some other set of regs, which allows the government to control that information. So let's look at a little Venn diagram. First, you've got unclassified information which belongs to the United States government. And then you've got information which is controlled by some other law, regulation, or policy. And then where those two meet, you have CUI. So CUI is a small little overlap between information belongs to the United States government and information controlled by some other set of regs. When you have those two things, you've got CUI. Then let's take a look at when CUI and ECI might be the same thing. So the CUI registry lists 125 different categories of laws, regs, policies, etc. that allow the government to control stuff. So export-controlled information, that's one of those categories. Bank secrecy information, child victim or witness information, DNA records, there's all kinds of stuff. So when we look at this green circle, we're thinking about all of these different, this massive universe of regulations which allow the government to control information. Of those 125 categories, only 2 of them relate to export-controlled information. So that's 1.6%, okay? Teeny tiny little sliver. So let's carve out a little sliver of that green circle. Okay, that's export-controlled information. That's information that's controlled by the ITAR or the EAR, and all of the rest of the green stuff is information that's controlled by other regulations. Now we see where we meet right here. So you've got export-controlled information, which is some of the info controlled by other laws, regs, etc. And if you've got this little bit, which is where you also happen to have information which belongs to the United States government, well, that is CUI. So that's where you have the overlap of CUI and export-controlled information. So as you can see, you've got a very small subset of CUI, which is export-controlled information. Hey guys, after I made this video, my partner Bailey reminded me that if you're a defense contractor, you're contracting with the U.S. Department of Defense, the overlap of CUI and ECI that you are going to see is actually going to be much larger. You're just unlikely to see these other categories of controlled information that could potentially be CUI. The overwhelming majority of the information that you are going to see coming from the U.S. DoD is going to be, which is CUI, is going to be export-controlled CUI. So I hope that answers the question. CUI and ECI are not the same thing. Sometimes you'll have a document or set of documents which are created or you possess under a government contract. And those documents happen to have export-controlled information in them, in which case possibly those documents are CUI. So I hope this was helpful. If you'd like to reach out to us, email us at hello@aegis.law and let us know you saw this video. Thanks.